Hello, and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video, we're going to keep looking at Magic 2011, and we're going to move on and look at Reign of Vampirism, which is a black-green deck. Little side note before I start, this is the 200th deck I have looked at, which is... I think about it, and it's just actually crazy that I have looked at 200 of these pre-constructed decks, which, that means that, I mean, we're over halfway. We've only got a cool 120 left to go, so that's the thing. But yeah, 200, absolutely crazy. I didn't, this is hardly a milestone one like Rat's Nest was, but it's kind of weird that it's another black deck, I suppose. Anyway, let's milestones aside, let's look at the Reign of Vampirism. So, as you can probably guess, the theme is vampires. So honestly, after going through all of Zendikar block, where pretty much all the black decks had something to do with vampires, starting to get a little burned out on vampires now, which is fine because we're going to have Scars of Mirrodin after this. So have a little break from vampires, but then we go straight back into it in Innistrad, I suppose. So this is the last kind of heavy dose of vampires for a while. This would have been a really nice supplement to all the Zendikar stuff that we just had. But so the foil face rare is Captivating Vampire. So 1 and 2 black for a 2/2. Other vampires you control get +1/+1, and you can tap 5 untapped vampires you control to gain control of a creature, and it becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. This is a pretty cool ability. It's always rare to see like a permanent control effect in anything other than blue, but it is kind of secondary effect in black, and I do like seeing black get it. With a thematic spin on it. In this case, you're literally turning a creature into a vampire. It's very cool, very thematic. Anything that you gain control of then gets the bonus from Captivating Vampire. I think this is pretty fun rare to have. The 5 untapped vampires requirement is a little tricky because it's only using the vampires that are in the core set, which there's not a huge amount of them. So this is it's definitely a deck that benefits from adding in the stuff that we just had in Zendikar. But you have enough vampires in the deck to do it, but it would be a little bit of a struggle, I think, to get it. But once you get it going, it's great. So we have 3 Barony vampires. It's just 3 mana for a 3/2. Yep. It's fine. Obviously a bit boring, but it's fine. Doesn't have horrible drawbacks or it's horrible stats or anything. It's basically fine. 3 Bloodthrow vampires. So we just had this in Rise of the Eldrazi. Again, it's basically fine. 1 and a black for a 1/1. You sacrifice a creature to give it +2/+2 turn, which is fine. You got a fair amount of sort of sacrifice fodder in this. It's okay. And then 3 Child of Night, so 1 and a black for a 2/1 lifelink. We've seen seen this card a lot over the last few decks. But yeah, again, also perfectly fine. Just 2 mana for a 2/1 with lifelink is absolutely fine. And 3 Viscera Seers, 1 black for a 1/1. You can sacrifice a creature to scry 1. So in total, you have 13 vampires in here, which is okay, I think. To try and meet that Captivating Vampire ability. So it's all right. Talking more about Viscera Seer. So this was I've mentioned before in the previous the Power of Prophecy deck that Scry was in M11 like a little bit. They kind of reintroduced it. So this is long before Scry became kind of evergreen like it is now. But yeah, this was the only black card I think had anything to do with Scry. So it's kind of weird actually looking back on it why the Power of Prophecy deck wasn't maybe blue and black. As black had the only other scry effect in the set, aside from Crystal Ball, which is an artifact. But this is honestly like pretty good for a common, like for a 1-drop as well. To be able to sacrifice your stuff with no cost, and then be able to scry 1 is honestly like pretty strong. Really like Viscera Seer. Really, really good card to include. Like it looks so innocent, and then you sort of start playing with it, and it's actually pretty good. So the other rare is Royal Assassin. This is like a classic kind of core set card. 1 and 2 black, 1/1. Tap to destroy a tapped creature. Yep, this is perfectly fine. We've seen it sort of a few times before. I think it has cropped up in a few core set precons before. But yeah, it's just a very classic card. It was in the original alpha and beta and stuff. So yeah, can't get more classic than that. But yeah, we like Royal Assassin. It's okay. And then we have 2 Howling Banshees, 2 and 2 black for a 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, each player loses 3 life. So this is a reprint from M10, so I feel like I've sort of covered this before. But yeah, 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer is pretty good, and the life drain effect, even though it is symmetrical, you're playing black, you got enough kind of like life draining ability. At the very least, you got Child of Night in here to kind of offset this life loss. You're going to be playing, I think, quite aggressively. So yeah, normally this is going to hurt your opponent more than it hurts you, I think. 2 reassembling skeletons. So this is a great card. So this is kind of the replacement for Drudge Skeletons, which were in M10, and then I think they got phased out because, I don't know, regeneration. Maybe they finally realized that regeneration is a little complicated for a core set. Because it is. It has a lot of weird corner cases and rulings. So reassembling skeleton becomes the new the new recurring skeleton. So 1 in the black for a 1/1. 1 in the black, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. In a lot of ways, I don't know. I was going to say in a lot of ways this is better than Drudge Skeletons. I think it's about equal, because Drudge Skeletons having 1 black mana regeneration is really, really good, obviously. But this being able to like keep coming back when it dies is super, super good. It is, it's at the very least it is recursive sacrifice fodder that goes with Bloodthorn Vampire or the Viscera Seer. You can do this at the end of the opponent's turn, so yeah, it comes back in tapped, but then it untaps during your next turn. Reassembling skeleton really, really good, and also the fact that it's a warrior actually kind of matters. Like the fact that it's got that extra tribal synergy, like it doesn't really matter in the sets around it at the moment, but like for constructed play, I'd be lying I say if I haven't included skeleton warrior reassembling skeleton in a black warrior tribal deck at some point. So yeah, really, really good card. Really like reassembling skeleton. I would hazard a guess it's probably one of my favorite cards. Because again, it looks so innocent and it's just so annoying and difficult to get rid of. Single giant spider on another another classic card here. 3 in a green, 2/4 reach. We've seen giant spider loads of times before, but yep, this is perfectly fine. Single spined worm, just as a bit of an extra muscle here. 4 in a green for a 5/4. Really glad it's not like zombie Goliath, because that's obviously just a very bad card. Spined worm is okay. At least it's got at least it's 5 power for 5 cost. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, I think Spined Worm is an okay inclusion here, just as a bit of vanilla beef. And then we've got 2 Doomblades, perfectly good removal spell at 2 mana, destroys a non-black creature. Yep, perfectly good. 2 Diabolic Tutors to search up whatever you need, which is probably most of the time, let's be honest, going to be the Captivating Vampire, because that helps boost about half the creatures in the deck. But it's always good to have like this kind of effect to search up just exactly what you need for whatever the board situation is. A couple of corrupts. So here we go. I was talking about life drain effects. So yep, corrupt. 5 in the black does damage equal to the number of swamps you control to a creature or player, and you gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. As all the things, it's in a 2-color deck, so this is always going to be hurt a little bit in terms of efficiency. Like it's never going to be as good as it could be if you were just playing mono black. But it's always it's always pretty good just to do this and get potentially like 4 or more life off it. The fact that it can hit creatures as well is, I always think, like slightly underappreciated. A lot of people. In my experience, when they play corrupt, they aim it straight at a player, which is it's fine, obviously. But the fact it does double as creature removal is not to be ignored, I think. But yeah, pretty good card, I think. 2 Quag Sickness. 2 in a black aura, goes on a creature, gets -1/-1 for every swamp you control. This is fine. I think what you want to, essentially, at some point, this is just a sorcery speed removal spell. I'd say you want to give this to be giving at least like -3/-3 to make it worthwhile. Which is it's not difficult. Obviously, if you just played swamps, you'd cast this, going to be -3/-3. The fact it ticks up during the game, you could put this on like on a really big creature, and I don't know, it gets the effect stacks. So this is okay. I think this is okay. There are definitely worse cards than this. The fact it scales, I think, is what makes it really nice, because you usually see these kind of black auras, which is just it's a set like I don't know, like -2/-2. But yes, the fact this scales up is okay, I think. So this is all right. Not a great card, but it's all right. 2 Rise from the Grave, really like Rise from the Grave, 4 and a black. Get a creature card get a creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and it's a black zombie in addition to other colours and types. So yeah, it's really good. Steal a creature from anywhere, and get it under your control. Really, really good. Always goes nicely when you Doomblade something and then immediately do it, and then Rise from the Grave to get it back. Yeah, really fun, really nice. There's 2 of them in here as well. Really nice card. Single Cultivate which is good. You just got quite a few expensive cards in here. So this helps you also get more swamps out for your Quag Sickness and Corrupt. So I think this is the first printing it as well, actually. So it's essentially Kodama's Reach from Kamigawa, but it's just not arcane. So 2 and a green, and you search your library for 2 basic land cards. 1 goes into play tapped, and the other goes into your hand. So yeah, really good. Really like Cultivate. A single Giant Growth, just classic Giant Growth. 1 green for +3/+3. Single Naturalize, just for a bit of utility. Single Nature's Spiral, 1 and a green to get a permanent card from your graveyard back to hand, which is, artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. So yeah, again, that's really good. It serves as a either as a raised dead effect on your on your creatures, or you can get back some of these more use. If you wanted to get back Quag Sickness and have another go at it, I suppose, if you wanted to. And a single Sorcerer's Strongbox. So I'm really torn on Sorcerer's Strongbox. I want to like it, just because it is kind of zany. I always like anything that has flip a coin in it, because you're in for a good time, I think. So 4 colorless, 2 tap flip a coin. If you win the flip, sacrifice Sorcerer's Strongbox, and you draw 3 cards. Obviously, this has the potential if you spend 2 mana and it does nothing, and you only get to try it once a turn. If it was 2 and it didn't tap, I think that would be sort of okay. I don't know, it'd be this kind of skill test of how much mana are you going to sink into this to try and get those 3 cards. I don't think it needs to be 4 mana when you cast this. I reckon this could have been I don't know, 3 mana, maybe even 2. Because the fact is you've still got to pay 2 and tap, and you've still got a 50% chance of going off. I reckon it could have had an initial lower cost, maybe. But I think this is kind of fun. I don't know, maybe because I also used to play the Pokemon card game, which uses a lot of coin flips as well. So I don't know, I always like seeing a coin flip card, because it's so rarely used, but it always goes on such a fun card, I think. And then 9 forests and 16 swamps. So what could have been? So the card selection, I think, is pretty good. I don't think anything in here is actually really, really bad. I don't think even the vanilla sort of filler cards in here, like the Spined Worm. I mean, that's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly fine vanilla creature. But I mean, that's not saying they could be better. But there's got to be a splash of the other color, I suppose. And I've sort of touched on it before. There needs to be some less optimal cards here just to teach deck building, I suppose. But as it's vampires, what could have been really nicely on the theme would have been Sign in Blood, which is double black to make a player draw 2 cards and they lose 2 life. So if desperate, you can use this on an opponent to get the last 2 life out of them. But I think this is more important here as a teaching tool to new players that it's worth drawing. It's worth paying 2 life to draw 2 cards for only 2 mana. So I think that could have been here, and also Blood Tithe as well, just because it's kind of vampire themed, I suppose. Again, really, I think I mentioned it before, but really surprised that Blood Tithe, it's only been printed in M11, and I was absolutely confident it had been reprinted other places, but apparently, according to Scryfall, it's only in M11, and somehow I have just hundreds of them. Not hundreds, that's obviously an exaggeration, but I have a lot of Blood Tithes, and I don't understand how or why. But anyway, that's just 3 and a black. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. And Gravedigger could have had just classic Gravedigger to get creatures back from graveyard to hand. Always like Gravedigger. Really just solid card in my opinion. So in summary, I think this one is, again, it's pretty good. It's like all the these 2011 core set decks. I think it's honestly pretty solid. It's nice that it has this kind of tribal theme to it. Usually seeing these core set decks that we've seen, usually at least one of them has a tribal effect or a tribal sort of theme to it, and it's it's just, I don't know, maybe we're seeing a few too many vampires. We just, as I said, we had all of Zendikar where all the black decks were vampires, and when it comes around to the 2011 core set, how about more vampires? But it's fine. Vampires are kind of cool, and I guess they really wanted to push vampires as they were definitely cementing them as the the new kind of like black humanoid tribe, I suppose. Anyway, yeah, I think the deck's pretty solid. Honestly, I think I would have had a good time playing this one out of the box. Honestly, so yeah, I think it's pretty good. What are your thoughts on the deck after seeing it there? Who you got any stories, thoughts, comments, opinions about this deck? Yeah, stick a comment below. Always like reading people's comments. I'm going to go back next time and go look at the last 2011 core set deck. But until then, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.